In a world of fast-paced highlights and instant opinions, it takes a rare force to disrupt the sports media machine. That force, as 2025 has made abundantly clear, is Caitlin Clark. When the Iowa sensation declared for the WNBA draft earlier this year, there were murmurs of doubt. Could her electric college game translate to the pros? Would her shooting range, court vision, and sheer charisma be enough to shake up a league still waiting for its mainstream moment? Now, barely a few months into her rookie season, those murmurs have transformed into roars, and they've reached the mighty halls of ESPN. It wasn't just that Clark was filling arenas. It wasn't just that her jersey was flying off shelves. It wasn't even the fact that she'd become a regular on late-night talk shows and endorsement deals were stacking up like stat lines on her resume. What truly forced ESPN's hand was something far deeper. Caitlin Clark had become the gravitational center of the WNBA. The numbers don't lie. ESPN's initial coverage of Clark's arrival was cautious, perhaps even skeptical. Early season games involving her Indiana Fever squad were sometimes pushed to secondary channels or received little pre-game build-up compared to NBA Summer League broadcasts. But while the cameras were slow to shift focus, the public was already locked in. Social media engagement exploded every time Clark touched the ball. Clips of her logo-range threes and impossible no-look passes dominated TikTok and X, formerly Twitter. Her WNBA debut drew record-shattering viewership numbers for a regular season game, with over 3 million tuning in. Weeks later, her game-winning buzzer beater against the Seattle Storm drew more eyes than some playoff matchups from the previous year. ESPN, known for its data-driven programming decisions, had no choice but to take notice. And then came the pivot. The Clark Effect segment. On a humid Monday morning in June, viewers of ESPN's flagship show First Take were greeted with something unexpected, a 10-minute segment dedicated solely to Caitlin Clark, dubbed The Clark Effect. Host Molly Karam opened with a telling line, "When one rookie changes the trajectory of an entire league, you stop and pay attention." Stephen A. Smith, never one to hold back, admitted on air, "We talk about generational talents in the NBA all the time. What Caitlin Clark is doing in the WNBA is not just generational, it's transformational." From there, it became a cascade. ESPN restructured its WNBA graphics packages to include Clark-centric stats. Caitlin Cam became a regular broadcast feature, showing her off-ball movements and leadership. Her games were moved to primetime slots. And perhaps most telling of all, she began to be compared, not just to WNBA legends like Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi, but to NBA icons like Steph Curry and even LeBron James, in terms of cultural influence. More than just a player. What made Clark's rise impossible to ignore wasn't just her stats, it was how she was changing the conversation. Clark was unafraid to speak her mind. Whether it was about league marketing, officiating inconsistencies, or support for women's sports infrastructure, she used her platform like a seasoned veteran. She called for better travel accommodations and equal media access for all teams, not just hers. She championed her teammates, like Nalissa Smith and Aaliyah Boston, making sure they too got the spotlight. Her authenticity became her brand. She wasn't polished to fit a mold, she was the mold being redefined in real time. The business of Clark. Internally, ESPN executives reportedly referred to her as the Caitlin Catalyst. Sponsorships tied to her broadcasts brought in fresh advertisers eager to reach younger, more engaged audiences. Rating spikes were no longer just coincidental, they were consistent. Streaming numbers for WNBA-related content on ESPN Plus saw double-digit increases, with Clark highlights leading the charge. In July, the network launched a short-form documentary series, Clark Unfiltered, tracking her rookie season with behind-the-scenes access. It was a gamble that paid off. The first episode broke ESPN's internal record for debut views on a WNBA series, pushing the league forward. Perhaps Clark's greatest contribution, though, was the light she helped shine on the rest of the league. With more eyes came more appreciation. Fans discovered the relentless hustle of Alyssa Thomas, the defensive mastery of Aya Wilson, and the veteran brilliance of Breanna Stewart. Clark often deflected personal praise to celebrate these players. She insisted post-game, "I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm just lucky people are finally watching what they've been doing for years." That humility only furthered her power. The ESPN acknowledgement. It culminated during the WNBA All-Star break, where ESPN aired a special titled WNBA Power Players, The New Era. Clark was the face on the cover, but the hour-long special highlighted her as the spark for a movement, one that had been building for years but now had a voice loud enough to demand the mic. "We owe it to Caitlin Clark," ESPN's lead WNBA analyst Rebecca Lobo said, "not just for being great, but for making people realize how great this league already is." That acknowledgement wasn't just about respect. It was about responsibility. ESPN's relationship with the WNBA is now under a different light, a more serious, committed one. And Caitlin Clark's influence is the reason. A catalyst, not a savior. Still, Clark would be the first to say she's not the savior of the WNBA, just one of its loudest new messengers. But thanks to her, and the undeniable power of her presence, ESPN, and by extension much of the sports world, was finally forced to look in the mirror. It saw a league ready for the spotlight. And it saw a player who made that spotlight burn just a little brighter.